Former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno and former United States Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama, Jay Town, joins me. Jay, what's sort of interesting about the opinion, besides the decision that there are no nationwide injunctions that federal court judges can issue, is you peel back the curtain, and these two women, the majority writer and the dissenter, certainly don't seem to like each other, jabbing each other the way they did.
It really was a quite stark sort of revelation that Justice Barrett, who wrote the opinion for the court, really did on more than just the quote that you read in your lead-in, but she referred to Justice Jackson's dissent as rhetoric, tough to pin down in its logic, beyond mainstream defenses of universal injunctions even. It really was sort of a takedown. Now, the court for a long time is sort of tired of Justice Jackson's antics, her interrupting. She doesn't let people during oral arguments finish the answer to another justice's questions. And if you read the dissent, and I know you did, Greta, it really did ramble on and not make a lot of sense. And the imperial judiciary is exactly what Justice Jackson was advocating for.
Joe, your thoughts about now the decision that federal judges can't issue in a jurisdiction, can't issue an injunction that's nationwide holding the nation?
Well, I mean, I think as Justice Barrett's quote that you just read, we got along for 200 years without universal injunctions. And so this idea that we're some imperial dictatorship now as a result of this ruling is nonsense. Look, it was a good course correction. It was never intended that 680 different district judges in 94 districts in 12 different circuits could just sort of decide something for everyone. It never made any sense. Otherwise, why do you have these geographically located districts in the first place? It belies any kind of logic. I will give one note to a dissenter, though, not Justice Jackson, Justice Sotomayor. She did make the point that while, yes, universal injunctions may have been overused, there are situations where they might be appropriate, call it a class action or something like that, and this might be one of them. This is a pretty fundamental constitutional question here.
I'll tell you what bothers me about this decision and many other decisions. In fact, there's 6-3, 6 by a Republican president, 3 by another, and you find that politics really invades these decisions. Let me read you something. It's in 2022. This is Justice Kagan, Elena Kagan, who was one of the dissenters. She said at Northwestern University, she said, it just can't be right that one district judge can stop a nationwide policy in its tracks and leave it stopped for the years that it takes to go through the normal process. So she didn't like nationwide injunctions at all. Yet today she joins the dissent, and I really don't like that. To me, it's like, I hate to be so Pollyanna, but boy, I sure would like a decision that wasn't drawn along political lines and we aren't haunted by something you said before, which is the exact opposite of what you're saying today. Jay?
Yeah, and it's a great point, Greta. There's been 40 nationwide, or what the court is referring to as universal injunctions, in the first 6 months of the Trump presidency. 35 of those 40 have come from just 5 states. And so, Justice Kagan in 2022 was exactly right. In fact, Justice Thomas in 2018 said the same thing. And this forum shopping just can't continue. And it's one of sort of the lost aspects of this opinion, that there has been forum shopping and it can't continue. And when you don't have a universal injunction any longer, there's no need for it.
All right. Well, let me explain forum shopping. Basically, is you have your claim or whatever you want to do, and you find the judge you think is most sympathetic, and whatever part of the country you go and you file it there, hoping for a good opinion. And I'm sort of conflicted on it. But let me just say, Justice Kagan, in that same Northwestern University, she said that she criticized the practice of forum shopping, where you do precisely that. But there's a part of me as a lawyer that thinks if you're filing a lawsuit and you want to win for your client, you find the forum where you're going to win, and it's like, why would you pick a forum where you're not going to win?
Yeah, you don't get points for being a good sport, right?
That's right.
You get points for utilizing the tools at your disposal. So I don't blame the lawyers for doing this. I blame the judicial system for allowing this. And it's about time that at some point they said, okay.
Well, you just find a lawyer in the jurisdiction, a client of jurisdiction. I mean, it's not that hard to get around that.
When did we get away from this idea that the person who is seeking relief from a court is a party to that litigation. I mean, that's a fundamental concept, not a court in Hawaii issuing rulings that affect people in Maine or New York. It doesn't make any sense.
Indeed, it doesn't. Joe Moreno, nice to see you. It's been a while. J-Town, also nice to see you. Thank you. Coming
Thanks,
up,
Greta.
the